And now you come along after thousands of people told that person stop doing that. And not only that, but they seriously injured other people in the process. But that doesn't matter. They're disabled. We're going to buy them a wheelchair. How about that? Go ahead.
I don't have anything to say.
What's unfair for you about being black? That we should have some kind of program at Penn State to give you some kind of little special boost somehow as a black guy. Does diversity, equity, and inclusion include white people?
It can.
It can. Does it?
Sometimes.
When?
I'm just wondering if it would be better to help no one than rather than help the few people who do need it.
Oh, damn.
If it's so hard to decide.
Oh, damn. Okay, can you go to the next slide? You're going to have to work harder, my friend. If you, look, I don't care about the past. I don't care what happened to your people. We can't deal with that. We can't have a DE&I program to fix this problem. You're going to have to catch up with him. So some people receive resources and opportunities based on specific needs or circumstances. Do you have an example of that? Anybody? Can you give me an example?
Being disabled?
Yeah, so what do you give me an example of that?
If you have non-functioning legs and you were stuck to a wheelchair.
Yep. So the question is, okay, where do you get the wheelchair? You pay for it. Mm-hmm. But what if you can't afford it?
Then it's paid for by the government.
Paid for by the government. Do you have a problem with that? Why do you not have a problem with that? That's a lot of money. You know what, those electric wheelchairs can cost up to like 10 grand. So we're all paying for that. So why do you not have a problem with that?
Because that's something that person needs in order to have as close to a...
People need a lot of things, man. There are people in this class who have their parents give them the credit card. They never see the bill. Who gets a credit card from your parents? You never see the bill. You don't ever even have any idea how much you spend every month. You just spend it and that's it. You get that. You have that, right? Who has that? Irvin. You have that? So you got it. Okay, so she just spends it. Who doesn't have? How many of you who's working 3 jobs just to survive? Dude, he's working 3 jobs. You 2 jobs? Could you loan him your credit card once in a while? You could use it, right? Once in a while. So he needs money. Why not help that dude out? Why the disabled person?
One of them is a basic human right, and the other one, I can't guess what he's going to spend the credit card money on.
What if the person who's disabled was drunk driving and speeding when 1,000 people told him to stop doing that, and they got in a car accident and they broke their spine, they broke their back, and now there they are in a wheelchair. And now you come along after thousands of people told that person stop doing that, and not only that, but they seriously injured other people in the process. But that doesn't matter. They're disabled. We're going to buy them a wheelchair. How about that? Go ahead.
I don't have anything to say.
You don't have...
Well, I wasn't exact. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, with the idea, the person in the wheelchair, it's their fault they're in a wheelchair.
Right.
So, are you cool with buying a wheelchair for him, $10,000? Because he's saying, dude, the person needs a wheelchair, man. What are you going to crawl? They're going to come to Penn State, they're going to crawl into class. They're going to crawl across campus. They're going to crawl into class. They're going to crawl down the stairs. And we're going to lift themselves up into the seat right here in the front because we won't buy them a damn wheelchair.
Well, I agree with what he was saying, that that's the idea of equity as well, as you're evening the playing field. You think of like with golf, how there's handicaps because you can't play a pro golfer without maybe getting some sort of handicap that's what.
Yeah, but what if the equity is it's your own fault? You're in a wheelchair. When do you draw the line to say, the equity is a cool thing, but why that?
Well, okay, this is going to be controversial, but it's also sometimes like, God, it's like it could be someone's fault that they're poor if they poorly invested, but they still deserve food stamps.
Dude, it might be this dude's fault that he has to work 2 jobs. You might have spent.
Are you playing with stocks?
Dude, he might be gambling his money away on the bills, bro. He's gambling it on the bills. Like, oh, damn, man. Yeah, bad idea. Or the Jets, even worse, right? Or, yeah, and so, like, whatever. That's why he needs it. But you see the problem here. Equity sounds good when it's a wheelchair. Or it's like, we have disabled students who, in communities all across the country, and we have special busing services to get disabled students where they need to go. That costs a lot of money. But we do that because they're disabled. And somehow that just feels like, okay, we should do that. That feels okay. So equity isn't necessarily a problem. But what about Sam here? He comes from a poor family, let's say. So let's say that we come up with a program for Nigerians, immigrants, right? Yeah, immigrants, because we have this idea that immigrants are poor. But a lot of immigrants aren't poor. A lot of Nigerian immigrants aren't poor. A lot of Indian immigrants aren't poor. Persians immigrants aren't poor, right? So like, wait, what's that about? So the problem is, we when we get these systems in place for equity, we want to try to balance it out so everybody gets a fair shake. You see this? But like, when is it fair and when is it not fair? So you would say, okay, so now as a black man, what about that? What's unfair for you about being black? That we should have some kind of program at Penn State to give you some kind of little special boost somehow as a black guy.
You're just talking about equity, right?
Yeah, equity.
I mean, for me, like, equity is just, like you said, giving people what they need in terms to have like equal chance at life. I feel.
Oh, but we don't have time to figure out what you need.
Okay.
And we don't have time to figure out what all the other black people in class need. Sam, you and I, we're going to go around, we're going to pick all the black people up in here, we're going to grab them, we're going to line them up in the front.
Yep.
Okay, from the poorest to the wealthiest. First off, how many poor black people you think there are in here?
None.
There aren't very many.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There aren't very. First off, there used to be. Poor, rich in spirit, my friend. All right. That guy's the richest person in the class in spirit, which you'll find out in a little. So here's the issue. There used to be, but Penn State's pretty expensive now, so there aren't very many, right? And more likely to be poor. There are more poor white people in here than poor black people, all right? So listen, but we're going to line them all up. Okay? So we're going to line the poorest up down here up to the richest. And the richest black person in here, by the way, is probably pretty damn rich. Might be. Is it you, by the way?
Definitely not.
All right. No, definitely not. All right. Okay. So we good? Now you and I, here, stand up. We're going to do this metaphorically, right? Imagine there's a lineup of black people right here.
Okay, bet.
Okay. Here we go. We're going to walk down. We're going to decide who's deserving of something. It's the poorest. No, let's go with the richest. The wealthiest down here, the poorest down here. Okay.
All right.
Now. Okay, so the richest now, these people. So here we go. Now you're rich. Imagine there are people here.
Okay.
You're rich. No, okay, we're not giving you anything. Yeah. No. Okay, no, you're good. You don't deserve anything. No, nothing. I don't care. And then we start getting out down here to the people who are a little less connected.
Yeah.
And now we got a problem because we're like, where do you draw the line here between this person and that person, right? Where do you draw the line? Like, where do you make it happen? This is the problem.
Yeah. You're asking me?
Yeah, like where would you do it? Can you see the complication of that?
A little bit, but I guess if you kind of like say they're, all right, let's say it's kind of crazy. Out of 10, they're like rich to poor, and then 10 being the richest, like 1 being the poorest.
Yeah.
I feel like if somebody's like 7 out of 10, you would give them 3. That makes sense. 5 out of 10, you give them 5.
Okay, yeah. You do with something.
Yeah, I try to. You try.
But how do you do that? There's so many people who are in need, and why would you do it? Why just for black people or brown people? What about all the poor white people? Because DE and
they come up here too.
What's it? But we don't do that really. Does diversity, equity, and inclusion include white people?
It can.
It can. Does it?
Sometimes.
When?
And occasions like
women.
Yeah, exactly.
Disabled people who are disabled. How about able-bodied white men who are not disabled?
Poverty.
Often does it include them?
If they're like impoverished.
What DEI programs really involve class and social class and economic wealth?
It's a good question.
I mean, they should.
Yeah.
They all involve it at some level, but how often? And this is part of the problem. What do you think about that? What do you think about what we're doing right here? What are you thinking? Is your head spinning a little bit?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
What exactly is the question?
Let's take, you're Indian American. Think about all the Indian Americans here.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. How do you decide which ones have specific needs and which ones don't? Imagine how big that is. Millions of people. And then you're going to design programs to figure out how you're going to help some people and not other people. And damn. Can you imagine signing up for that? You want to be a nuclear engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy job compared to what this would be. You got to sort through all these Indian Americans living in the United States. You got to figure out which ones are worthy of assistance and which ones are not. And that's what DE&I is. This is the problem. When you have these programs for a lot of people, Mitra.
I'm just wondering if it would be better to help no one than rather than help the few people who do need it.
Oh, damn.
If it's so hard to decide.
Oh, damn. Okay, can you go to the next slide? All right, so here's equality. Everyone receives the same resources and opportunities. Doesn't matter. If you're the black family down here who's really rich, or the black family down there who's really poor, or the Indian family at both ends, or Persian family, or white family, whatever. This guy's from York. There's a lot of poverty around York, right? I mean, really? I mean, it's a tough city. So just give everyone the same damn thing. You work it out. Just work it out. What's the problem with that?
Well, that would be a waste of resources if you're giving food stamps to someone with a $500,000 a year salary.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, back at Penn State, can I tell you a story?
Yes.
Let me tell you when this hit home for me in this class. Probably my second year teaching this class, Social 19. I had a kid in class who was connected to a very, very powerful Penn State alum. So he's the son of this alum. The son didn't go to college and went out and did his own thing, right? And did quite well, but in the end decided to come back to school. But the father said, hey, I'm not helping you out. You're on your own, man. I told you I would help you out right out of high school, but now you're on your own. You got to make it work. So the kid was like, all right, I got this, man. Really good dude. So he got financial aid. The father, owned a skyscraper. This is serious, right? And the kid got the Penn State grant and aid that went to students of color. Didn't go to white students. It wasn't based on class. This is back in the day. We don't have this anymore. But it went to him because he was black. And I'll never forget him saying, to me, yeah, he was trying to pay for his college. But and him saying, yeah, I got this grant, man. Back then it was $3,000. It wasn't a lot. Today maybe it would be $9,000 or something. I don't know, equivalent to. He's like, yeah, I got this. I'm like, dude, how'd you get that? Like, how are you getting that? He's like, because whatever, right? I'm like, okay. He's like, but I'll take it because I need it because I don't have any money because my parents cut me off. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But that's a problem. That's what people say. That's why people have a problem with this. Now, in the end, what he did was he helped somebody else out because, that was his thing. So he's like, yeah, well, I'm going to take this, but I'm going to help someone else. So it's all good, right? But this is so if everyone gets the same resources, so here people got resources based on something. And then people would say that's not fair. They're probably, in your community, bro, there's probably a lot of white people in his community who we could never afford to come to Penn State. Could never afford to come to Penn State. And they're white. Now, we don't give scholarships out like that anymore. Everybody thinks we do. Everybody thinks that all the black and brown people in this room, they're all here on scholarships and they get full rides, and that's just that ain't happening, right? So I'm saying that to the cameras. Just know that this has already been really reshaped and reformulated and so on, right? But there are a lot of white people in your community who could never afford to be here. And then how fair is that to them?
Again, not terribly fair.
It doesn't seem fair. Right? What do you think? Is that fair? What if you get a scholarship, because you're sent, because besides the fact that you have a cool name, but kids in his neighborhood don't get that? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean,
what would your Nigerian parents say
about what?
About this?
About him or
about the fairness of it. Because they're probably all about, man, if you don't earn it, you don't deserve it.
Yeah, they're like that, but both of them, they both struggled a lot when they came to the country at first. So
okay.
I feel like they would definitely, they're pro take all the chances, opportunities you are given.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in the same mindset. It's really unfortunate that there are people like that, but at the same time, there's a lot of systemic reasons why that's the way it is.
Okay, so hold on, you get that? Systemic reasons. So now we can walk into another world. Legacies of inequality, generational inequality. Can one of you say what that is? This generational wealth and inequality, can one of you say? Do you know what that is? What I'm referring to? Do you have any idea? Historical legacies, generational inequality, all of that.
Is it how different races were treated in the past? Or
yeah, okay, and what does that mean for the present?
Say DEI, in theory, in practice, it works. But if you take it away and you're we should treat everyone equally, you can't, that's not going to happen because of different races had different circumstances growing up. There's a lot of neighborhoods of colored people that don't have access to education, and then there's some colored neighborhoods that do have access to education, but it's different for everyone, and the past is to blame for that. So that's also why taking away DEI is also not the answer, but also DEI is not the best answer.
Mitra, do you have some?
Yeah, historically there were red areas, marginalized communities, mainly Hispanic and Black people, especially in cities, where banks would not give loans to them.
Yeah. Which meant what?
Which meant they couldn't afford housing.
Okay,
or if
they couldn't afford
they
not
lost
housing,
a lot of money.
to buy a house.
To buy a house, yes.
And that meant what? They couldn't buy a house. Not just couldn't even afford. It was even illegal. They just couldn't. Yeah. You couldn't get a house.
Yeah.
And that meant what? Why is a house important?
Oh, a house is important because, honestly, without a house, it's hard to find a job.
Okay, it's wealth. You can have an apartment and get a job, but it's wealth. You're building wealth.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when you got the wealth, look. Do you know who the poorest ethnic group, ancestry group is in the United States?
I would guess American Indians.
Yeah, American
probably.
Indians, by far, right? So, okay, American Indians. So, American Indians were, first off, the longest running, most widespread genocide in human history occurred right here with the Indian peoples, the indigenous peoples of the Americas, okay? So, first off, they're genocide, they're killed. And then what happens is we take the best land and we build reservations, push them into reservations, and one thing after another, okay? They're now the poorest ancestry group in the United States by far, okay? So let's do this. So listen, so you're down here. Imagine this is the ladder of upward mobility, okay? And you're Native American. You're no longer, you're Sujana, but you're from the Chippewa tribe, okay? Got it? So this is the ladder of upward mobility. So you're gonna catch up to him because he's white. Forget about the fact he's just white. So he's of the ancestry group that has more money. There are poor white people, there are rich white people, okay? But we're gonna lump them all together and they're gonna average, and he's just gonna represent white people, and he's here. So Sujana, you're gonna pull yourself up by your damn bootstraps, and you're gonna work really hard, and you're gonna catch up to him. So go ahead and start walking. Okay, hang on, stop. Wait, so you just see what happened? What happened to him?
He kept moving forward.
He kept moving forward too. He's not going to stop. He's not going to stop and wait for you. So it's like, Sujana, you're going to have to work harder, my friend. If you, look, I don't care about the past. I don't care what happened to your people. We can't deal with that. We can't have a DE&I program to fix this problem. You're going to have to catch up with him. So don't expect us to do that. That's on you. So you ready? Do it again. Catch up to him. Wait, hang on. You're not catching up. You got to work harder. You see the problem here? Up here, people with means, they don't stop. So they don't stop. You're going to have to really work at it. So the problem with not dealing with generational wealth in history means that this gap right here, it's really difficult to change. And the reason Sujana is here and not there is because her people were deliberately forced to be here. So it's genocide and it's discrimination, it's exploitation, it's racism. The most horrific things you can imagine happen right here to her people. And now what we're saying to her is, hey, listen, we're going to get rid of all this DEI stuff, this equity, equality stuff. What do you want, special treatment? You give me special treatment? What is that? You just got to catch up to him, damn it. Make it work. And then that becomes a problem. So how is that for you? Imagine you're Native American. How does that feel?
Not good.
Why?
Well, because I have to work twice as hard.
Yeah, but you don't want to get anything either. You don't want to be given something for free.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now you're stuck. Here, come back down. So what are you going to do? You're stuck. You don't want to get something for free, right? That you don't deserve, because you don't. And you're going to try to do the best you can. That's all you can do. But yet, you're in this place. So what do you do? Is it fair to take something from this guy? Because he's up there doing the best he can, so would it be fair to take something from him?
No.
Okay, so it's not fair to do that. That's not equitable. It's not equity. Equity is we're gonna help her out, but we can't just help her out. We're gonna have to take something from this guy. It's you're balancing in both ways. And so what Donald Trump is saying, the criticisms of DEI is saying, you can't you can't just manufacture this. You can't just sit and be like the big puppet master and going to come up with these policies to make this work for everybody. It's not going to work for everybody. And stop trying to do that, and stop having these sweeping policies that somehow you think is just going to rectify the situation, because maybe what you're doing is you're creating bad blood. Because you, bro, if you're up there and I come along and I'm like, hey, dude, sorry, but we're just got to take this something from you. How's that going to be for you? How are you going to feel about that?
I wouldn't feel great. My family's from Ireland. We didn't participate in anything. We came here.
Oh, damn. Okay. Now you just complicated it even more. So now what? But we're going to punish you anyway. So how is that?
Not very fair.
Okay, so can you imagine people seeing all these DE&I programs and thinking like, this doesn't seem fair. God, it doesn't seem fair, right? People like you and I, especially people that look like you and I, but your mom comes along and says, yeah, well, maybe that's not fair, but for my situation, it would be fair. Rectify this. And you're saying, but it's fair at some level, although there are Native American people, indigenous peoples who aren't here. They're actually starting way up there ahead of him. And then you're in this position of going like, yeah, but I'm this Nigerian dude, and I'm not really sure. Yeah. So what's fair? What do you think about that? What's the fair thing?
I don't really know what the fair thing to do is, but I don't think the answer is just get rid of it completely. That's just my opinion. Maybe you get rid of it and you start over. I think it would lead to the same thing if you start over again, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think America was like, even though it was extreme, or to some people extreme, I think it was moving in the right direction before the removal of it.
You think so?
I feel so.
How about the story I gave about the black student who got his scholarship and he was rich? Came from a rich family. Is that the right direction?
I guess, but there's going to be cases like that, I feel like.
Okay, yeah. Well, but you're going to be able to have a lot of cases like that, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably most beneficiaries of affirmative action because most affirmative action programs were really built around gender more than race, probably, really, in terms of how they get implemented. So it's like white women, so they benefit, so that wouldn't be fair.